Yes, it's the movie no one asked for, and who better to produce a COVID-inspired horror turd than the master of subtlety himself, Michael Bay.
Bumblebee, stop lubricating.
Shot entirely during the pandemic, Songbird tells the story of a mutated COVID virus called COVID-23, with an insane mortality rate of 56%. So put on your masks, or preferably hazmat suits, and make sure to like and subscribe, because we're going to take a look at this plague of a movie. We are 213 weeks into lockdown, and I'm currently in a city where we're on week 3 of a lockdown, and I'm already going insane, so holy crap. COVID has completely decimated the economy to the point where cities look like something from I Am Legend. We meet our film's protagonist, Nico, who is one of a few people immune to the virus. You might remember this actor as playing, hold on, let me check my notes here, Nico in another movie, or Archie in the best written show of all time, Riverdale. The general population calls these immune people munies and looks down upon them, partially out of jealousy and partially because even though they're immune, they can still spread the virus. So naturally, Nico's a delivery boy since he can navigate the world freely without fear of being infected. Nico's tasked with sending a package to the Griffins, an extremely affluent family who will find out engage in illegal sale of immunity wristbands. The hot ticket item among the extremely rich are these wristbands, which sell for about $150K a pop, allowing those who wear it to travel freely and out of their homes. It also means they won't be sent to the dreaded Q zones, or quarantine zones, places where people live in extreme conditions and are sent to die. Every day, these citizens have to engage in a virus check via their phones. It's never explained how this is done with your phone, but hey, that's just the beginning of the problems with this movie. So Nico is saving up all his cash to buy a contraband immunity bracelet for his girlfriend Sarah, a girl he's never actually met. He hands her a love note through these UV virus killing machines, which is kind of crazy they go through all this trouble to keep their distance. The virus is airborne now apparently, yet there's a huge slit under the door. So we're about 20 minutes into the movie and nothing has happened yet. There's no real story to talk about. So the writers, probably knowing this, are like, we need to bring out the big guns. And no, I didn't mean a pun there, Alexandra Daddario. She plays some sort of web streamer and forms a relationship with Dozer, a wheelchair-bound army vet who donates hundreds of dollars to her. Then we meet the film's villain, Emmett Harland, who is the real highlight of the movie. He works for the Department of Sanitation, which is in control of rounding up the infected and sending them to these Q camps. He's here to pick up an infected from Sarah's apartment, but stumbles upon this guy who is out past curfew. And you know what happens to those who are up past curfew? You get stabbed. Get away from me! Emmett here doesn't wear any protective gear. That's because he's immune just like Nico. He ends up taking Sarah's infected neighbor Alice away, and here's where the plot of the movie actually begins. It only takes about 40 minutes. Sarah's grandmother Lita, who she lives with, comes down with the virus, so Nico vows to get an immunity pass for Sarah before the Department of Sanitation comes to take her away. So the movie kind of becomes this race against time. Will Nico be able to get the pass before Sarah is hauled away to the Q zone? Nico ends up going to the Griffins because he knows they've been dealing in those super expensive immunity bands. And Piper sets him up by giving the number of Emmett, who's their inside guy, supplying them with these bands. But what Nico doesn't know is that this is actually a setup. Meanwhile, Mr. Griffin jeopardizes the life of his immune-compromised daughter by cheating on his wife and having romantic rendezvous with Daddario. I mean, who wouldn't? Apparently he's promised her a record deal or something. I don't know how Hollywood works. And the next morning, Sarah and Lita have to do their mandatory virus check, and of course Lita fails miserably. But Sarah is miraculously fine. Nico meets Emmett in an abandoned building, and I'm like, couldn't they have met somewhere a little nicer, like an abandoned Starbucks? Not like anyone is out here. So Emmett asks for Sarah's information, like where she lives and stuff, but he's really wanting this so he can find out where she is and arrest her for the Q zone. But Nico picks up on this, and oh no, here we go again with the stabbing. Nico manages to get away with a minor flesh wound,
Just a flesh wound.
as heavily armed guards with the Department of Sanitation come after him. And just as Nico is cornered and about to be gunned down, this random guy comes out of nowhere and saves him.
Why are you even helping me?
The dragon pull schmucks like you down here, they've tapped. Today, I'm drawing a line in the sand. I let you go.
This is like the biggest deus ex machina. This guy's only purpose in the story is to save Nico, and we're with him for about 30 seconds, and then he just disappears.
What are you doing?
I'm staying.
Okay, alright. So May confides in Dozer that Mr. Griffin has been getting creepily obsessed with her. I mean, look at these texts, it's like me trying to get back with my ex. Stephanie, please answer me. So she calls him and tells him it's over, and if he pursues her, she'll leak recordings that prove he has been dealing with those fake immunity bans. And I gotta give this guy props, his whole life could be ruined, and his response is, "You're dumping me on the phone?" And Idiot Guy is having this conversation with the door open, and his wife overhears everything. So what do you do when someone's gonna destroy your entire life? Grab your gun and take care of business. That is, unless your wife gets in the way. Get out! She basically tells him to get out, which he does, and she calls May to warn her that William is on his way. May then calls Dozer, fearing for her safety, and he sends out his drone to watch after her. It makes me wonder, what else has he been creeping on with that drone? Nico breaks into the Griffin home, now knowing that Piper set him up, and demands she hand over an immunity band. And she does after hearing about how in love he is. But just as he gets the band, the sanitation department arrives to pick up Sarah and her now dead grandmother. Like, how slow are these guys? Nico was able to go home, then bike to the Griffins, meet up with Emmett, escape, go back to the Griffins, all in the time it took this sanitation team to arrive. The government, am I right? So this team of sanitation department people, fully clad in hazmat suits, bust into this tiny apartment, and I kid you not, Sarah is able to knock one of these guys out and get into his full hazmat suit without alerting the others. Like, look how huge these things are. And is no one going to be like, hey, where's Tom? Wasn't he supposed to help with picking up this body? It isn't until a few minutes later that Emmett finds the hazmat dude's body just laying in the middle of the room and realizes Sarah has escaped. Meanwhile, May packs up her things to head on over to Dozer's and, you know, can't forget your guitar, you need the essentials, when of course her car won't start. William arrives and harasses her. You think you're just gonna leave me? And Dozer's drone is conveniently armed with a gun. This is my favorite part though. Dozer texts her after she's clearly terrified with, "I've always got your six." So Emmett tracks down Sarah where, surprise, surprise, we find out she's immune too. But she's broken the law and will be sent off to the Q zone. And in the very next scene, Nico goes to Sarah's apartment and somehow Emmett has magically teleported there. I don't even know why he's come back. And this is the kind of scene in the movie where the villain explains why he's so twisted, telling Nico that since they're both immune, they're basically gods.
We're not human anymore. We're gods.
And he tries to stab him. What is with this guy and stabbing? Like, all his coworkers have giant guns, he couldn't get one either? Nico is able to stab back with one of Sarah's pencils. She's an artist and drew a picture of him, and finds Sarah's phone, which, okay, try to follow along here because I was so confused. She previously took a photo of the truck, the one that's going to be taking her away, and put it as her phone's background, perhaps hoping that Nico would see it and be able to track her. The amount of things that need to go perfect here are mind-boggling. So Nico is able to call Lester to get Dozer's murder drone to track this truck and stop it before reaching the Q zone. Just as she's been taking off the truck, he rushes to her and slips on the immunity bracelet. And no one is like, hey, she didn't have one of those when we picked her up. Maybe we should look into that. And these guys go from like ready to blow out their brains mode to, oh, sorry for the mix-up, you're free to go. Now here's a part I don't understand. Nico and Sarah embrace for the first time and kiss, but Nico doesn't know she's immune yet. He could be giving her the virus. And I'm like, what was this whole movie about if he's just gonna endanger her like that? But she tells him,
"It's okay. I'm like you."
That's where the movie basically ends. The two of them end up venturing off to Big Sur, where there's probably nothing since the whole world is a hellscape. Nico gives Lester an immunity bracelet, and there's some like D storyline where the Griffin's maid ends up with her family, which I totally didn't get, but hey, why not? I think this movie's biggest crime isn't that it exploits a pandemic, but provides us with nothing new, inventive, or worth spending our time. The characters are flat, the story doesn't start until 40 minutes into the movie, and for a film about a pandemic, we see only one person succumb to it. So if you want to submit yourself to some torture, check out Songbird, which I have no idea why they called it Songbird. There's no damn birds in it at all. Thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe, and check out my worst movies and TV shows playlist with tons of other videos. For more bad takes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT, and until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.